Oh my god, the host just triple sat me.
You see who's food running today?
56 was just sitting there making out the entire time I was trying to take
Why do we have
orders.
so many servers on the floor? Did you hear about 73?
This is a work of fiction. Any similarity to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental.
No, I just realized that my feet were on your fucking dash. Like,
Oh, I don't give a shit. Have you seen the state of my car?
Well, yeah, but
how fucking dare you?
I'm like touching like your window.
I don't care.
The minute you looked at him, I was like,
I thought
yeah,
she
I
might
should not be doing
that. No, I
that.
thought you might be getting cold because I put the air up to the front.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Well, please, I don't give two shits. It's like, take a look around. Like, that'd be really fucking weird if I was like, your shoes, though? And you're like, yeah, you've got old food back there.
My car smells like pickles. I can't say anything.
You're not judging. I'm just saying, yeah, you can put your feet up if you want to put your feet up, sweetheart. Welcome back to Rolling Silverware, everybody. I'm Bunny.
I'm Kat.
And this is our post-shift shit talk.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit of shit.
I've got some shit.
Okay.
I've got some shit about guests, just weird guests. Like, guests, you never know what kind of people are going to walk into the restaurant.
Yeah.
And anywhere I am, this location doesn't get, because of where we are, like, I don't get as many, like, just balls to the wall crazies, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't have that many, and some of our regulars are a little weird or peculiar, but that's...
Yeah, but not to an extreme where
not
it's
to
like,
an extreme
oh my
way
gosh.
whatsoever. So I was talking to a table, and this was a week ago, and there was a table 6 sat at the big round table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's plenty of empty space for me to stand, which I love because then I can just face the entirety of who's there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going over entrees. And so, I take seat 1, seat 2, we get to seat 3, and he's like, I'll take the lobster roll. And I go, okay, are you looking at the sandwich or the sushi roll? Because we have
Yes.
both. So I always clarify because one time I didn't.
Yeah, and it's the wrong one, of course.
Yeah, and of course it was the wrong one. And so I go, oh, okay. And he goes, oh, the sandwich. And this kid's like 17, right? Mm-hmm. And I go, okay, so we have we have 2 different preparations, and I explained the 2 preparations. So I explained the traditional and I explained the butter, right?
Right.
And how they're different. And he goes, okay, I'll take the traditional butter.
No.
I said, so I repeat, and I go, so the traditional's this style and the butter is this style. And he goes, right, yeah, just the traditional butter's fine.
No.
Because he asked what brown butter was. So I explained what brown butter is. And, it gets toasty. It has a little bit of like a nutty flavor, and it just enhances the butter flavor. Like,
right.
You can add brown butter to fucking everything, and it makes it better. Like,
right.
Anything with butter can probably be done with brown butter. Like that was my whole point. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, just traditional butter though. And I'm all, and I, like, my brain just stops.
malfunctioning.
I just, because now he said it 3 times, and I'm all,
You're just buffering at a table.
and I'm like, and that's just it. And I'm just like paused, and I'm all, sure. Okay.
Just AOL dial tone.
Okay, so now in my head, I'm making them, like, I'm writing butter down, I'm just writing lob butter, right? Because that's how I write it. Or lob butt, like, that's what it says. And then when I go to the terminal to ring it in, and I put it, like, it was very obvious to the table that I was broken. Like, it was too long of a pause before I said, okay. Sure, because I realized, like, it took me that long to think I can make this happen for him, and I don't need to have this conversation with him anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing else needs to be said to the 17-year-old kid.
I was going to say, no one else at the rest of the table was trying to just be like, no.
Nope, nobody else seemed to be on the level that I was of understanding. And so, okay, including the parents, like, there's this style and this style. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll take both of those combined, but also neither of them at the same time. And I'm all, that's great. So then I'm like, okay. And it was, like, obvious that I was, stuck and a little confused. And so then I move on, and it didn't help that his 2 older brothers were very attractive men.
Oh,
and so now I'm just feeling, like, stupid because I just glitched at the table, and now I need to move on to the very attractive older brothers and take their order as well, to which it went much smoother. They both knew what they wanted, and it made sense.
Nice.
So I go to the terminal, and when I ring in the butter option, and then I type just drawn butter, no brown butter, right? Mm-hmm. And so I did no brown butter, and then I did the modify for drawn butter, mm-hmm. and then I put C server so that I could go and tell the kitchen, they just take one of the drawn butters that we have and throw that in there. Like, the kid just does, because he just wasn't sure about the nuttiness. He's like, well, I don't really want that, so just traditional butter. So I made that happen for him. Like, that's an easy swap, not a big deal. But having somebody use both words to the 2 different options, I was just like, no. And like I said, after the second time trying to clarify, I'm like, all right, fine, sure, fuck it. I'm over it. So it's just like things,
And was that what he wanted? He wanted drawn butter instead of brown butter?
I have no idea. I'm assuming when he said traditional butter, I think he just meant like regular butter, not browned butter. So I made that happen for him. And of course he said nothing. And in the back of my head, I even thought I could just ring in the brown butter. He'd never fucking know. Like there's no way that this kid's going to pick up on that nutty note and be like, oh, you gave me browned butter. Like you have no idea. But I didn't do that. Instead, I took the steps to make sure he got what I'm pretty sure he wanted.
Yeah.
And he was happy. He ate the whole thing. No questions asked. Like everything ended up going just fine.
I was going to say, I don't think if I was in that situation and somebody was saying that back to me and I attempted to clarify multiple times and I still just broke myself trying to figure it out. I think at the end of the day, I would have done the brown butter because he obviously wants butter on it.
Yes, he wants butter and he wants it warm. Yeah, he doesn't want the cold option. Yeah, he doesn't want mayonnaise. He also doesn't want nuttiness. So I'm like, oh, let's fix this for you.
Yeah, I guess. Maybe with the clarification that he didn't want the like nuttiness of the brown butter, then I might have thought of like drawn butter. But just you telling me that story, I'm like, okay, so just the browned butter option. Like I would have just been like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? And I would have just put that in because that, to me, he's obviously wants butter. He wants it hot. He's going to get the brown butter option.
It was just a moment of like, if you were to be like, oh, is this drink sweet or is it spicy? Or this drink comes sweet or spicy. And I'm just like, yeah, the sweet spicy. And it's like,
no,
what? And yeah, like I said, it was, and then like you said, nobody else at the table had any other comment. And I'm just like,
okay. Somebody help me, please.
Okay. Okay. On to you two. So, it was just something that had happened that I wanted to tell you about. But also, when I was training our busser that's moving into serving.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. I don't know if he wasn't strong enough as a host in order to move up to bussing.
Sweet kid. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever had an issue with him bussing, to be fair. Like, I always
no,
feel
not
like
at
he's
all.
right there.
And he's very friendly. He's very helpful. He is good with guests. Like, I'll give him that.
But it's something we did talk about privately, me and you, was the fact that once he started running, he would walk up to servers that had been with this company specifically for over 10 years and been serving for a lot longer than that, and just being like, oh, you forgot the spoon, or oh, you forgot this, or oh, you forgot that, and just being like really condescendingly telling servers how to do their job, and that was rubbing a lot of people a really, really wrong way.
Well, I heard from you, and then I in fact heard from somebody else about it before he trained with me, because then we all found out that he was going to be moved up to serving. Yeah. And so people had spoken to me about it, and then he trained with me 2 days in a row. So, or like his first 2 follows were with me. So I had made a point after that first follow to pull him aside and be like, hey, and I just want to let you know, when it comes to like you dropping food for other servers or anything like that, if something's missing from that table, you just go get it and you replace it and you move on. Like, you do not, please don't go and find somebody to let them know that they did not get a setup. I go, because trust me, you're going to hit a point where you are so inundated with steps that you might miss something. And that's to everyone's credit that happens. Like, I'll forget, like every server knows, or anybody that's been in the industry, you get home for the night and you go, ah, shit, table 32 never got that ketchup.
Yeah.
And you know it. You know that you forgot it
for a week and a half. Yeah.
Right. You know that you forgot it. But luckily we have a team, which when I'm serving and I drop food for another table, the question I ask before I walk away is, do you guys need anything else? Yep. And if you're missing your chopsticks and your soy sauce, I go get that.
Yes.
There is no way in hell you're ever going to see me hunt someone down to tell them that they forgot it.
Yeah, I would go get it
at that point, it is my business and my business alone, and I go fix it.
Yeah, I would never tell a server, like, oh, by the way, you forgot that. Like,
but
no.
Also, I had heard him he was up at the front talking to old server manager, who's no longer with us. He was talking to her and saying, yeah, so I think this person and this person might need to retake their preset quiz.
He named them?
Yes. In front of me. I was very close. Like, I was not standing in that group of people because it was like 3 people. It was him, a host, and her, and old server manager, and 1 other person. I was not standing in that group of people, but I was close enough to hear it. And that's where I got mad. I was like, okay, it's one thing and like I said, he is a very jokey kind of guy. So,
okay, but he's also 20 and this is his first job.
Well, when I first heard that he was telling servers like, oh, you forgot this, I could almost play it off in my head as he was like, oh, you're failing, ha ha ha, like as a sarcastic joke, right?
I guess.
But then when I heard him say that, to go out of your way to talk to a manager and say, this person and this person might need to retake their preset quiz because they're not hitting those presets. I'm sorry, what, sweetheart?
That's so unbelievable that he would do that.
I just overheard this, and I am now...
And he hasn't even gone through server training yet, has no idea how to be a server. And
you have no idea how to be a server. All you have done is run food, and you're of course you're noticing those things because your whole job is to drop food to the table and make sure the table has what they need. But that's your job. Yes, it's our job to make sure that the table has what they need before the food gets there, but sometimes those mistakes are going to happen. And to him, it feels like often because he's dealing with it with multiple
servers, multiple shifts.
Right,
yeah,
multiple shifts. This is a situation he's encountering, but sweetheart, you've never done it from this side. Let me see you have 6 tables and hit every single preset every single time. And you know what? You better be busting down to the fucking wood.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because if you're going to have that attitude and you haven't even touched the floor yet, you haven't even had a taste of the floor, step back. So that's why that night I did pull him aside while it was just him and I training. And I said, listen, I know you're coming from a good place. Like, I tried to play it off like super nice. I was like, I know you're probably coming from a good place, but I don't think that you should be flagging people down to tell them what they're failing at. That is not...
It's not a good look, and it's not going to make you very well liked.
That's what I said. I said, it seems like that's just going to upset people, and I don't think you want to be the new server that's upsetting everybody. I'm not trying to bully him into not speaking about when people are failing. We talk plenty about when people aren't doing great at their job. But something as simple as I forgot the spoon to the kids' food, well, there's setups on the table they could use a fork possibly, unless it's a tiny kid, And also, you noticed it, you get it.
Yeah.
And move on with the rest of your night. But to say that they need to retake their preset quizzes to make sure they're up to date on it.
To their direct manager. Unheard of.
Check your privilege, sweetheart.
That's crazy. Again, this is his first job.
Yeah.
He's never had a job before, and he got pushed through so fast into serving. It makes me wonder who he's related to at this restaurant, because that's the only other time I've seen this happen, is that with the nepotism that happens here. I cannot believe that he has just the audacity.
The absolute gall to turn around and say that. And he said it with a smile on his face. And he was like, ha ha ha, they need to retake it because they're not hitting those points. Excuse me? Watch it. Because
unheard of.
Like those, and like I said, 2 of the people he named are absolutely strong servers and great at their jobs.
Servers that have been with us for fucking years.
Years and years and years, and are strong standing in the company and follow to standard every other way, shape, and form, but when they're probably absolutely inundated and he's not seeing that at all.
And I was going to say, sometimes you're not even inundated. It's like you have a party of 2, you take their order, you put it in, say some of it's oysters, right?
Right.
And then you go over to greet a party of 9.
And somebody else brings over those oysters.
And you're in the middle of taking their drinks because they're asking questions and they're doing this and they're doing that. And the oysters take all of 2 seconds because sometimes they do.
Yeah.
And they get to the table before you're able to put a preset down because you just thought like, oh, I'm just going to take the drink orders for this real quick before I grab,
could you imagine then turning around and being like, you forgot that?
I would be upset. And that's one thing.
And it's like, no, I didn't forget it. It's on my brain. I'm talking to a table. It's on my brain. It's something I'm going to do. So you're right. It could have not even been forgotten. It just could have been not gotten fast enough because it wasn't feasible to do it fast enough.
Yeah, or somebody flags you down and now you're at another table, asking, and they're asking a million questions as they're talking about like, oh, well, what does this come with? And what does this come with? And how is this prepared? And, and so like these things always happen. That doesn't mean that it's not on my to-do list. It means that...
Yeah, and it also doesn't mean that you're failing in any way. I'm doing my job to the best of my ability in this very moment.
They came out so much faster than I had ever anticipated, and I got pulled for something else, and I just didn't get to it fast enough. And yes, you and I do talk a lot about people, when they fail at their jobs, but it's like, hey, this guy had no idea how to do side work. He's never seen a bev station before in his life, apparently. Or, like, he did this wild thing on the floor that nobody's ever heard of as a server. Like, you have years of experience serving. Why would you ever think to do this? Like, those are the things that we complain about. We don't complain. I've never once complained about, like, oh my God, this person didn't preset their tables all night. Like,
Shut up.
Like, sometimes it happens. Like, those little things that just you and I both have the understanding that they happen on occasion to every single server, no matter what, because we have been on this side of the line. So for somebody who has pockets big enough to hold that amount of audacity, who's never
and he's never had to handle it.
So hasn't even gone through enough follows yet in order to greet a table on his own.
Right.
Like, you are still being you're still following somebody else. Like you're not even being followed yet.
No.
And
you haven't taken any tests. You haven't taken a single, server quiz, right? Because those are done after.
And they're
your
long
follows.
too.
Yeah.
The first one, at least, the first day server quiz is probably the longest.
Right.
It's
And
good,
so
7 pages.
Yeah. So it's like you haven't even taken a quiz yet. You haven't done anything. You have no idea what it's like out on that floor. And you're going to stand here and say that? So like
That's
I said,
crazy.
day 1 of training, I did walk him through. Don't do that. Like, it's a bad look, and you don't want to upset your coworkers. We're all here to work together, to be stronger together. Yeah. And if you're nitpicking every little teeny tiny thing someone's doing, they're not going to want to stand together with you.
And guess what they're going to be doing the minute you get on the floor?
Oh, yeah.
Nitpicking every single...
God forbid you forget a malt vinegar, sweetheart. I'm not only telling you, I'm telling a manager, and I might even come and hand it to you. I might even put it in your hand and be like, oh, I'm so sorry you forgot this.
Yeah, set it on your tray of drinks filled to the brim. Just be like, oh, let me put this in your apron. You forgot this for 33.
Yeah, if you could hit that. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Like,
I'm not just telling the server manager. I'm telling the GM. I might talk about it on the podcast. Like,
right? Don't be that person that's going
crazy.
to upset. Like I said, at the end of the day, we are a team, and we are getting so much better at all working together so cohesively.
Yeah,
do not be the wrench in this wheel. You know, like, please, you don't want this. You're a very sweet kid, and I like you as a person. Do not start off on a bad foot. It's not going to go well for you. And like I said, I'm not trying to be like threatening or anything like that. It's just why would you want to do that? You're the newest one at our level. Why would you want to, like, this information is new to you. I don't know if you understand this, but before you became a runner, you didn't know what the presets were either. I promise you did not know that you needed a fork, a spoon, and a knife for the frickin'
Geppetto, yeah.
Yeah, like, you didn't know that. There's no way you knew that because you never had to set it up before. So this information is brand new to you. Shut up. Just shut up. So anyways, on our second day training that he was following with me, I'm going over stuff. He's definitely feeling more comfortable, and like we weren't busy that day, like, at all. So
those are good training shifts though, because then they can ask questions and
they are good training shifts. But I think you need at least one like balls to the wall busy shift. Like, maybe not busy like our Thursday was, but busy enough so that you can see how somebody who's settled in this job would handle that timing.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the timing of this restaurant is so different than every other restaurant I've worked for.
Yeah.
And it's so important. So, and he had made a comment to me like, oh, I can see how for someone like you, 4 tables really isn't anything. And I go, no, it's not. 4 tables shouldn't be anything to somebody like me. Like, that's why I complain when I only end up with a 4 table section and I'm locked in,
Yeah.
That's why that became an issue. But I thanked him for seeing that. I go, yeah, absolutely. A 4 table section is nothing. And I go, but for you might start out and 4 tables might be your absolute maximum. And that's okay. Like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So
you don't just go onto the floor and think like, oh, I can take an 8 table section, no problem.
Right. No, no, absolutely not.
Even with the amount of experience you and I have in this industry at a brand new restaurant, 4 tables would be our max for a good 3 months. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let me get really comfortable before you start, putting me in over my head.
And
like,
a large part of that is the system too, is figuring out the system and being able to be quick at the system.
Yes.
Thankfully, he does have some experience doing to-goes, so that might not be, which is why I always said like the host and the runner should be doing to-goes.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to move them up to servers, they should
have that practice already.
Yeah.
It's going to cut down on a lot of that learning time to know where those buttons are. Even if you can't ring super fast, you at least know where they are. You're not asking questions every 5 seconds.
Exactly.
But so it was pretty dead, and I had 2 top. And I was the hammer that night, and I had like a 2 top and then another 1 top or something, and then it's 8:15 and we close at 9 that day.
Okay.
And a woman gets brought in, and she has one of those, I call them the swap meet carts. It's like it's like a metal cart that is collapsible or whatever, but it stands kind of tall. It's like as tall as like a laundry basket or whatever, but it's got wheels.
Okay, yeah.
I call it because all the old ladies at the swap meet have these swap meet carts, right? Mm-hmm. She's got one of those with her, and I see her getting led to my section, and newest absolute doll host, right, that we love so much. And then he comes to me, and now server manager, and says, so that, because I can't see her back's to me, and he says, so that might be an interesting table. And I go, great.
It's always scary when the host comes up with a warning
right
before you even greet at the table.
Now, just from her backside and her cart, right, and the things that I could visibly see in her cart, this feels like it could possibly be somebody who does not have a home.
Okay.
So I don't know that. I'm not trying to make any like jump decisions or anything like that or accusations, but just from what I can see and what she's wearing and like the state of her hair, this might not be somebody that it's like has a place to go home to. So I'm like, okay, sure. Like, that's fine. Like, obviously we're going to serve anybody. So anyways, I can only see her back. So I walk to the kitchen because I have to get bread for somebody else. And I've got server in training in tow. And I hit the terminal that's next to the lobster tank. And I look. And I don't know what to think. I don't know. I don't know. This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, possibly in my whole life. And I made it through, all of COVID and everything else. This woman has what I can only assume to be, from the distance that I am standing, a plastic grocery bag wrapped around the center portion of her face, and it is squishing her nose down.
Stop it.
I can't, and I don't know how it is fashioned, but it's like a...
And she didn't have that when she sat down?
I couldn't see her face, and there wasn't anything tied around the back of her head. So I don't know how this is fashioned to her face, but it is covering just her cheeks, her nose, and across to her other cheek to like behind her ear. Her ears might even be covered. I can't see her ears because of her hair. So I take one look at this table, and I'm for my own... I don't know if I can keep composure at the table.
Yeah.
Because this is wild. Like, you can see that it is flattening her nose. Like, that's how tight it's a plastic bag. It's a plastic grocery bag, like the thinner ones that you would get from like 7-Eleven back in the day, or a liquor store or whatever back in the day, right? Like not the
super thick ones that they have now.
This is like a very thin, see-through gray plastic bag that is pushing her nose down, and only to this point. So I'm like, this can't be like a mask deal, like you're not covering your mouth at all. And also, this is just absurd. Like, this just feels so...
Maybe she doesn't like the smell of seafood.
Maybe she doesn't like the way her nose looks. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the fashion choice is or the decision behind this is at all. But I'm literally looking and I'm all, it's because I've had a long day,
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to be rude to anybody ever. I'm never going to refuse service. Like if you come into my restaurant, obviously this is my whole job. I'm going to do my job. But am I going to be able to do it without giggling like possibly an idiot? I don't know. So I look at trainee and I go, yo, 75's all you.
Yep. Good luck.
And that's what I said. I said, you enjoy that. And to which I stood close to him because obviously he's not ready to be on his own. And I know that.
And if she has questions.
Sure. And I'm not trying to throw him in like sink or swim or anything like that. And I don't want him to be, like concerned or confused or anything like that. But I said,
you just let him take the lead.
Please. Absolutely. That's all you. So I stand I'm just one table over and I'm cleaning the table while he's talking to her, and she had questions about the soup and the salad and this and that, and then he comes up to me and he goes, thank you so much for that. And I go, well, you did great. So he gets her a water, and I swipe my card, and okay, what'd she order, like, let's put it in. And so he puts it in, and then it was a Caesar salad and a cup of soup.
Okay.
And so it comes down, and then I have him helping me with side work because it's time to close down, right? Like it's when I get started on side work. And she flags me over. And so I walk over and I go, hey, how's everything going? And I mean, this bag, it's so tight across her face. Like, it's leaving indentations on her cheeks. Like, and again, I can't see it tied to the back of her head. I don't know how this happened. I don't know what the reasoning is for this at all. I'm baffled. It's like, just speechless.
Okay.
And so I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's like, the Caesar salad just isn't, like, it's not good. I just don't really like it. And I said, okay, we'll go ahead and take that off. Like, don't you worry. She did not eat it at all.
I mean, yeah, of course, but also, like, can you smell it at all? Is that maybe the problem? Is the fact that you don't have any olfactory...
smell is a big part of your taste as well. And maybe anything would taste off if you've blocked off that portion of your body. So I take it off, and I said, I'll take it. I'll take it out of your way. And she goes, okay, thank you. And so I take it, and I show Fabulous Manager. I said, hey, here we go. We got to take this off. And he goes, absolutely. And then even he says, you think she's going to pay for the soup? And I said, at this point, I don't know.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they do have ways of making money even if you are homeless, right?
Sure, absolutely. I'm not saying that she doesn't have any money. I just don't know.
And they also, they're allowed to treat themselves just because they're homeless.
You're a person. You're a person too. And like I said, we gave her excellent service.
Of
Like,
course.
he hit all of his points. Nothing went wrong at all. We took off the salad immediately, to which then I went back to the table to let her know, hey, we took that off. I'm so sorry. Would you like a different salad? Is there anything else I can get out for you? She goes, no, the soup's going to be just fine. You can bring the check whenever you're ready. I know you guys are closing down soon. Okay. She did have a little bit of like I don't want to say a speech impediment, but it was definitely like
The fact that she didn't have her nose.
it could be that. It could have been a little bit of that. But so, I mean, it was there. It was just being smothered.
That's what I mean. Like, she just...
It was being hurt. And
She's
so
a little muffled and nasally. Like...
Right. So I dropped the check, and then she pays, and I said, okay, it's like with cash, and I was like, okay, let me grab some change. And she goes, no, absolutely not. That's for you and him. I know, like, it's all good. Thank you so much. And then she gathers all of her belongings and she leaves, you know?
Okay.
And to which I walked immediately up to him and I was like, here you go. This is all yours. Like, she tipped $5 on a soup.
I was going to say, this is an $8 tab, yeah.
Right, this is 100% yours. Please take this. And he's like, no, I don't have to do that. I go, you did all of that. That's yours. Please take this. But to say that I have never been so dumbfounded for words upon somebody's appearance, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not, like, it feels almost rude, like mean. I'm not trying to be mean-spirited at it at all or with this at all, but it's just like, I don't know. I could be in the bookstore and she could have been standing next to me and I probably would have been like, what the fuck is happening right now? You know, like you have to know that people are looking at you really fucking weird with that choice. Like, hey, that's a choice. It's your choice. And you keep living that life, girl. Like, you rock out with no nose for as long as you need to. That's fine. Like, you know, there's parts of my body I wish I could cover up too, but
you're not making fun of her appearance, right? You're making fun of a very odd choice that she made.
A very strange choice
to walk around in public with. Like, that's very different
and then
than saying,
to
like,
speak to multiple people.
Yeah, it's not like you were like, oh my God, she, had a weird hand, or, you know what I mean? Like, you're not making fun of an appearance that she cannot change. And you're definitely not making fun of, you just mentioned, like, she looked like she might be homeless.
Right. Well, and anybody would have made that same assumption as I did, and she might even still. But she might have been. That's not what was important about it. It was just the fact that you have somehow weirdly tied this bag, it's like aggressively across your face. And you, like I said, it was a see-through bag. You could absolutely see her nose, and it was just like, when kids like shove their faces up
like
against glass. Yeah, or taped. Yeah, like taped, or taped. But it was just like smushed. And I was completely at a loss for words. I was like, that was wild.
Incredible.
To which then I was asked at the end of the night, like, she paid, right? And I go, yes, absolutely. And, fabulous manager was like, I've dealt with things like this before. If you're ever concerned, you can come to me. If we're worried about like a payment thing, or, sometimes we'll he said other restaurants that he's worked for, sometimes you just give one on the house and you call it a day. And I go, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. When I worked...
Because they deserve to eat too.
Well, when I worked next to the amusement park, and there was at the restaurant over there was a lot. Like, there was a lot. And that people would sleep on our benches outside because they were nice, big, long benches that basically it's a wooden bed,
Yeah.
And so we had a lot of people that came and went. And you can have a cup of soup and you can have some bread. And then when you're ready, you can get on your way,
Yeah.
Like, if you're not disturbing anybody, of course we're here to help, Yep. And so I didn't care. I was
saying you didn't make fun of that.
No, I wasn't in it for the tip. I didn't care at all. I just thought, yeah, you can handle this one.
Yeah.
Like, this can be a story you tell.
I don't know.
I'm going to give you this story. I might have given that table to you had you been there. I would have been like, hey.
And I would have looked at you like, I can't walk up to her.
I would have told you with her back to you, and I would have said, I got to hit the head. Can you snag this, greet this for me? Like, just because, odd choice. Very, very odd choice. I don't think I don't think it's even when, like I said, we made it through COVID with the masks and everybody's weird fucking choices for what kind of mask they were going to wear and how they were going to wear it, like noses sticking out and everything else,
My favorite was when the people had their like chin and mouth out.
Right.
But it was still like a mask, so it wasn't like smushing their face.
No, just like a regular mask.
Yeah, or like, my absolute favorite. I remember this happening, I want to say like 3 weeks after the shutdown, like the massive shutdown, standing in line at a grocery store 6 feet away from everybody, minding my own business, got my mask on, just doing my thing, getting some groceries. And the person like either behind me or in front of me, very close to me, just like takes their mask down and sneezes. And I was like, why would you, that defeats the whole purpose of a mask.
Why would you do this?
Why would you do this?
Oh my God.
But not a single person took a thin plastic bag And smushed their face
smothered
into
their
it.
nose with it.
So that's an odd choice.
So in the vein of odd guests, I don't know if you've heard about this guest previously. I'm sure I've told you part of this story before, but I'm gonna say it for everybody listening. There is a gentleman who comes in. He sits by himself. He is a semi-regular. Like, he's in often enough, but you don't necessarily see him all the time. He's a little heavy set. He sits by himself, and he always has a newspaper with him. And while he sits in your section after he orders just hot water because he brings his own tea bags, and then he orders a meal.
I was gonna say, I've heard of this regular, but
Right.
I've never seen this regular.
You're lucky. So I'm going to give you a short description of how my time with this man has gone. Because
Okay.
he used to end up in my section often when he came in more often. I don't see him all that often anymore, which is good. So he sits down and he, like I said, just wants the hot water. He brings his own tea bag. Okay, I don't care. No problem at all. I'm
Yeah,
not going to
it's
charge you for that hot water. It's no big
skin
deal.
on my back. I
Yeah,
don't
it
care.
doesn't make a difference. He brings a newspaper with him, and it's always just like half of a newspaper. Like, it's never like, a full...
The full times.
Yeah, it's never the full register or anything like that, So it's just a portion
It's
of
just
it.
the funnies and the sports.
To which he takes a pen and he spends his time waiting for his food, highlighting and underlining words, and then making little annotations in the side of the newspaper.
Is he a conspiracy theorist?
I don't know, but he's
Is
like
he looking
adding,
for a message?
He's like adding stuff up, and so like he's like circling things and then like adding numbers to the side. So the first time that I saw what he was doing, my brain went straight to, this is the Zodiac Killer. Like, this is in fact him.
Or is he trying to find the Zodiac Killer?
Yeah,
still
or
to
is
this
he
day?
is he
Like-
cracking a code that nobody else can see? Like, I don't. But it's wild. It's like wild jotting down and he seems so like intense with it. And then he makes very off the wall comments to all of the women. Like, all of us. He has stopped the host before, different hosts at different times, and just trapped them in conversation because he just goes off on like tangents. Never angry. He's not an angry man by any means. He's very, calm, and his demeanor's fine, but he says just wild stuff. Like, he just starts
Okay.
talking about, my wife when she was with me, this and this and that, whatever. So one time he was with one of our hammers, and he had looked down at her feet and said, "You look like you have the same shoe size that my wife used to. I would love to give you some shoes." And she goes, that's okay. Or something to that effect. He was talking about her feet and wanting to provide her with shoes for her feet or something to that effect.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, please no. And then he continued to talk about feet for a couple of minutes. If I'm remembering this exactly correctly, it was a couple of minutes later, and no, we're not discussing my
Stop
feet at
talking
all.
about my feet.
And like I said, he would just go off. He's just a weird guy. Just a weird guy all around. Always got weird vibes from him. So this could have even been close to a year ago. He was sitting in my section and he's taking up all my time because he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. And I had started to get busy. So I was like, okay, all right. No, of course, I'll be back. Let me go check on your food. Like anything I can say to get away from the table.
Yes.
So that he doesn't feel like I'm just like blowing him off. But also I gotta please leave me alone.
I have other people.
I have other things to do. You are not my sole purpose right now. And so I come back and I check on him with his food, and he's saying how great it was. And, he loves everything here, but it's just such a big portion. But he never wants to take anything to go. He won't take any of his leftover stuff to go. But he's telling me about how big the portion is and this and this and that. And then he looks me from the top of my head all the way down to my feet.
Oh.
And he says, creepily looks me up and down and goes, "Yeah, we could both use a little bit of a diet, couldn't we, sweetheart?"
No.
To which I said, "Okay." And I turned and I took his plate and I walked away, and I handed the check to, who was it? Because this was a while ago, but I handed it to one of the managers, and I said, "I need you to drop this off and take a note of our weird, creepy guy. I'm never serving him again." And when I explained what happened, it was, "No, you don't have to serve him. That's fine."
Yeah.
So he would still come in intermittently, and like I would catch it at the front, like if I saw him at the front, I grab the host, "Hey, come here real quick. Please don't seat him in my section, or if you have to, because it's the only open table, you assign that to somebody else. I will not speak to this man, and I should not have to."
No,
And
that is so rude.
Nobody has ever told me that I had to after this. And like I said, he has made other concerning comments to other women that work there. Like just off the wall stuff that you do not say to somebody who is providing you with a service,
That's crazy.
So again, I haven't seen him for a while. So he came in. yesterday. So it's my morning shift, right?
Yeah.
And he gets put in my section by Giggly Buster hosting. And I look at Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
And because he's not very busy, but it's only us two. We're the only ones left. He's not very busy. I think he has 1, 2 top or whatever. And I said, will you do me the biggest favor? He goes, yeah, anything. And I said, I need you to take 73. I do not talk to that man. I will not talk to that man. And he goes, got it. No questions asked. And I went, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And because he could see that I was serious, to which I think that man definitely noticed that I did not serve him because he was trying to get my attention, like not flagging me down or anything, but like staring the whole time.
Yep.
And I'm at the terminal
trying to make eye contact with you.
He can see me at the terminal and he's very much like looking at me, like waiting, like he's doing that, like, oh, I'm smiling, oh, you're not looking at me, oh, I'm smiling, oh, you're not looking at me.
Yep.
I am not going to give him my line of sight once.
No.
But he could very much tell that I was serving every table around him.
But
and
not him. Yeah.
Right, and I hope you can. Like, I'm sorry, but no, he might not even remember me as being anybody that stands out to him from any of the other female workers. I mean, I don't know, but he has made it's too much, and I'm not going to serve you.
No.
So I go and I
comments on your weight, I'm never serving them again. Like, that is so
well, and then to call me sweetheart on top of that, it's like, oh, it's 2 dings in a row. Absolutely not. Like, I don't need to speak to you. I don't want to speak to you. And also, you're weird as shit already. I'm pretty sure you murdered your wife that has passed. Like,
and he's looking for a message from her from beyond.
Yeah, from beyond the grave in the newspaper. And the weirdest part about the newspaper thing too, like, isn't just the annotating of everything. It's that he then leaves it behind. Like, he has concluded his puzzle for the day that doesn't exist, and then he just leaves it behind as trash for me to pick up every fucking time he comes in. So it's just,
he doesn't even take it home.
he's such a fucking weird character. So Magic the Gathering takes the table, no questions asked. I walk up to Fabulous Manager and I said, hey, I just want to let you know that the reason he is taking this table in my section is because I don't serve that man. Here's what has happened. And he looks at me and says, nor should you ever have to serve him. And on top of that, if something like that happens while I am here, I will go up, I am paying for the meal, and you can leave.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, this just ties back to what we've already talked about.
Right.
Like, why are we serving him at all?
Right.
Like,
he has made multiple women feel uncomfortable, talking about things that you should not talk about with servers or with anybody. Really,
with
that's
strangers,
a stranger.
Yeah.
And so he was like, manager was like, no, this is one of those instances when I'm perfectly comfortable. I will handle that. I will walk up and I will say, thank you so much for coming in. I'm taking care of your meal and now you can go. And I said, thank you so much.
Yeah.
To have that be a response that I received from a manager, finally.
Mm-hmm. Not just, oh, you don't have to take them anymore, but we'll have other people be
for
put in this situation.
His grand total of a $28 tab that he, and he's using other of our resources for free. And, to be gone from the restaurant, like, is that big of an ask? Like,
right.
And he seems really, there have definitely been times that I had served him when he was like talking and talking and talking. Some of those conversations were just creepy in general. So it was just really, really nice to have that, like, yeah, absolutely not. And it won't happen again. Meaning for anybody. It won't happen for anybody again. Like, I will let him know that he does not, like, if anything were to have been said today, I would have let him know that no, you don't need to be here and I don't want to see you again, And like, fucking thank you. Thank you so much. Like, that really, I looked at him and I said, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Because I have literally been told by previous managers in the past that, oh, yeah, that really sucks, but, just walk away.
Yeah.
Great, but I do feel a little unsafe with some of these people in the restaurant. The guy at the bar that gets aggressive with fucking everybody, and we just can't possibly live without his once every, or 5 times every fucking salmon season visit. Like, we just can't live without him.
Where he's literally harassing me and like screaming about how much of a bitch I am to every one of my coworkers. And it's like, hey, I don't know, maybe at one point I have to leave. And what if he's leaving at the same time? Now he knows what car I'm driving. What if he decides, ooh, I'm going to follow her home? Like, these are all like very concerning things where I don't understand why, instead of just telling a server, like, oh, okay, you won't have to take care of them anymore. Like, thank you. I don't want to take care of them. Yeah. But also, how about we don't put somebody else in the same situation that I was already in? Right. Like, how about we tell him that he shouldn't come back?
Yeah, because if this is how you're going to speak to our staff or behave with our staff, you don't need to be here.
Right.
And that's all it comes down to is, like, these people are not behaving in a way that is appropriate. Nor should anybody be forced to have to take that abuse.
Yep.
Because making comments about somebody's weight or making comments about your feet or,
So weird.
trapping people in conversations on and on and on and on. Like, yeah, some people are just off and they don't have that filter of like, oh, you're busy, you need to do something else. But it was almost like he would like hunt people down to like, hey, come and talk to me, and I know he put some of our hosts from the past at like ill at ease. And so it's just like, thank you. Thank you so much for hearing that and for saying something that matters,
Yeah, fabulous manager. I don't see letting that kind of like go very easily. Like he's definitely, we've talked about how he just like, he gets shit done. You know what I mean? He's here for the crew, he's here for the safety of us, and he's here for the company as well. Like he'll, go to bat for this company. I feel like a lot harder than, some of our other managers even, but at the same time, like if a guest with a $30 tab is making multiple people feel uncomfortable or being super aggressive, he's going to be like, hey, guess what? It's on me tonight. I'll put it as my manager meal and we'll call it a day.
Right.
You know what I mean? Please don't come back.
So this came up tonight because, and I guess I just want to know, like, how do you want to handle it? Because it's like, or how should anybody handle it? Because it was it's something that comes up, I'm sure, in a lot of restaurants, and I think a lot of restaurants handle it differently than others do. Okay. So it's the end of the night. It's 9:03, so we have already closed. Mm-hmm. And Paranorman comes up to me because he got the last table. And it just went to him. Sorry, I was already cut, so I'm not going to take that table from you. You're on the floor. You have to take it, right?
Right.
And so it's 9:03, and he goes, hey, so it's, it's closing time. How do you go about telling a table that that it's hit the end of the night? And I was like, oh, well, we're closed already. So I would have probably said something 20 minutes ago. Like, hey guys, just so that our kitchen closes at 9. So if you there's no rush at all. We will please don't feel pressured. I just want to give you the heads up because the kitchen does start shutting down once we close. If there are no orders in, they start shutting down. Now, I don't know. I was speaking this with him and with Auntie S. And she was there and she said, yeah, well, just don't say, don't ever say anything like that in front of a regional because you'll get written up and suspended for it. And I said, well,
because we're not allowed to do last call, yeah.
Well, so last call's different. That's from the bar because we want people to still feel like they can get that next round of drinks. They can hang out and enjoy the last part of their visit with us, right? But the kitchen does in fact close down. If no orders come through, even if I tell the kitchen, hey, I've got, a two-top and they might order more food, we do at 9:00, the kitchen closes down. That's the end of it. They're not going to hold the line for however long.
Completely open, yeah.
Right. And are they supposed to?
I don't know.
So when I discussed it with Auntie S, I was like, so wait a minute, what had happened? And she's like, well, I had said, if you want to get that last round of drinks in. And I go, see, now drinks is different. I do know that we don't have a last call because a manager can step behind the bar, or even I can step behind the bar if the bartender is closed down or whatever. We can get that ice from the back. We can get those products from the fridge. Those aren't things that ever have to stop. That alcohol is readily available. It's right there. So we can continue to give the guests what they need while they are here. But the kitchen is a different. So like I said, I understand that, but am I never allowed to tell a guest that we're closed? When the restaurant's closed, because I know a lot of restaurants, their last seating is half an hour before they close. And that's because their kitchen closes at 10, right? So last seating's at 9:30 because you got to get that order in before the kitchen closes. Are we not that same way? But then, like I said, Auntie S brought it up as I mentioned about the bar drinks. And I went, yeah, we don't have a last call. We're never supposed to say, get that drink in before we're done. Even if the bartender goes home, we still absolutely can make that. But if the kitchen goes home, I can't make you anything else.
If the grills are off, I can't
turn that fryer and the grill back on. None of us can. Even the managers aren't going to go back there and make, deep fried French fries or food or anything like that because the kitchen's closed.
I mean, even we have had instances where the kitchen will, come around and just be like, hey, is your table going to order anything else? Right. We're starting to close down the kitchen.
Right, which I always let people know. So he had asked me, how do you go about that? So I said, you should go talk to your table right now because the kitchen is closing currently because it is 9:03 and they haven't seen an order in half an hour.
Yeah.
Or 20 minutes. So why wouldn't they believe? Is the kitchen aware that you have a table? Yeah. Obviously, if people sit at 9:00, we tell the kitchen, hey, we just got 4 people right now. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's get that order in as fast as we can. Nobody's arguing that. I'm not saying that I've absolutely put orders in after closing because we all were aware that table was there. So I was like, go talk to your table right now. Does the kitchen know that table is there? And so he comes back inside and he goes, oh, they were just getting drinks. They're not getting anything else. And I said, oh, okay, great. Here's how I would handle that from here on out. To which I explained to him, usually about, because, I'm a closer, so I deal with this more often than maybe some of the other servers do, because they don't get that last minute table. First thing I do when a table sits very close to close is I let the kitchen know, make them aware. They might even be doing appetizer and an entree. I'm going to try to get that in as quickly as I can, but there's a 2-top at 72. Just got another 2. Sorry. If it's within half an hour of closing, right. I let the kitchen know. I go, so that should be your first step. And then your second step should be, I would say, at some point during your talk to the table, let them know. Because a lot of people come in and they don't know we close at 9.
Because it's an early close time for a lot of restaurants. Most restaurants around us close at 10.
Right. Or even 11. Or even 12, 11. Yeah. So it's like maybe they literally do not know that we are about to close. And I'm not asking them to leave. I just want you to know that we close at 9. Like, I hope that that doesn't come across rude. I say it very politely every single time. But like I said, the response that I was given from Auntie S, I was like, okay, well, hold on. How are we supposed to handle this situation? Because I know how I've handled it at other other restaurants.
Yeah.
And it's, hey guys, just want to give you a heads up. The kitchen closes in 20 minutes. No rush. Just, you got to get
Can I get your food in?
Right. Do you have any questions? Or I'm going to go get those drinks for you. And like literally, I don't think I've had a single person tell me like, I don't care. Like every single person has been like, oh, absolutely. Or sometimes people do leave because they don't want to be here past closing. Because, you sit 10 minutes to close, you're going to be there quite a while after closing. I've never asked anybody to leave, nor would I ever.
Right.
But they should be informed. Maybe they're not informed, so I looked at her and I go, yeah, but I'm just giving facts. I'm not rushing anybody. And I make a point, like I said, to be like, no rush at all. Don't worry about it. Just to give you the heads up. Because at some point, the kitchen will shut down.
Yeah.
Regardless of, everybody has to go home and clock out.
I mean, honestly, what does, corporate kind of expect for us? Or our regionals even expect from us? Like, do we just not say anything at all? And then the kitchen closes down and they go to order like, oh, by the way, this entree was fantastic. If I could get another one to go, and now I'm giving them information like, oh, well, my kitchen actually closed 20 minutes ago and I don't have a way of making that for you. Like, is that how they expect me to take it? Or do they expect me to go get a manager to then go to the table and explain it? Or do they expect the manager to go back and turn everything back on to start making it? Like,
there's no way we would do that. Like, a kitchen closing is a serious matter that all restaurants encounter, and a lot of places cover that basis by not seating at closing time.
Yeah.
We will seat up to 9 o'clock. Like 9 o'clock will be a seating. I do not have a problem with that. We've talked about this before. We ask the guests, like, please be aware. But if they are unaware and I let them know, am I now in trouble for that? Because if I get a table at 8:45, we close at 9, I do let them know, hey guys, I'm going to go grab those drinks for you. Just a quick heads up, the kitchen closes in 15 minutes. Because the kitchen does close at closing time.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. And if they're not supposed to, please let me fucking know that. And or maybe let the kitchen know that. Like, you can't close at 9 if there's any guests in the building. Like, I don't think they know that. And also,
maybe.
Even managers.
Yeah, I was going to say, sometimes when the kitchen's wandering around saying, hey, do you have any tables putting in food because we're trying to close?
Right.
Some of those times it's a manager at the line saying like, hey,
yeah,
kitchen's about to close. Is there any other tables on the floor that might put in food?
Yeah. So what I think it comes down to really for Auntie S's story is that it was about the bar, right? It was about the drinks from the bar.
Also, I don't think they like Auntie S very much.
No, unfortunately, I don't think they do. But so
we say unfortunately, but she is like kind of aggressive.
She's pretty aggressive.
And she's like angry.
Yeah,
more often than not.
She gets pretty angry about stuff. Not to her tables, but just...
Yeah, to her tables. I've never seen her be like wild with her tables or like say anything off the cuff with her tables.
The time that she was like guttural growling around, I had never been more scared for my life. Like, I've been in some shady situations, but hearing her literally at the beverage station, like, I was just like, holy fucking shit.
She get like, somebody could just be like a completely different section, stop her and be like, I'm so sorry, can I get some butter? And she's like, of course. And the minute she walks away, she is screaming bloody murder about how much she hates people.
Obscenities about how people can't get their butter on time and whatever. But
like, she's great with her guests.
So it could have even been something as simple as that. Like, she chose the wrong wordage or whatever, but it's because it was to somebody from corporate.
Oh, interesting. Oh, so the table was corporate.
The table was corporate, and to which it was she was reprimanded the very next day, and she's like, it was a write-up and a suspension. And I was like, oh, holy shit. So I just kind of wanted to discuss it. Like, we've talked before about guests being in the building late, but what about, like, our way of going about navigating that, And, like,
I've always just
Because
kind of taken direction from the management, right? So
right. If they're asking me, is my table going to order? I'm also going to ask my table very nicely, are you going to order?
Yeah.
Me personally, I've never asked a table, like, are you planning on dessert? I just let them know that the kitchen is closing for hot food, you know? And even though some of our desserts are heated up, it's, you know, there's the microwave right there and the ice cream that I can go and get the ice cream, you know, if needed or whatever. So desserts are very simple because they're not put away in the sense of like sauces are gone, you know? And like I literally can't make you, you know, a clams linguine because we no longer have the white wine sauce or the stuff ready to make it, you know? Like, it's just a little different. But I'm just saying, like, because I'm telling him how I would handle it. Like, here's how I handle it as somebody who deals with people who come in late all the time. And I don't feel like I've ever rushed anybody out. Nobody's ever said anything to me. And it's never seemed to be an issue. And then to have her, like, aggressively telling me, like, well, don't ever do that and don't ever let it be heard. And I'm just like, okay, holy shit. Like...
That's interesting.
I believe that once the kitchen closes, it's like, hey, kitchen's closed. Like, that's how restaurants work.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know from either our management team, if they know, or, you know, regionals and...
Right. I think I'm going to ask on my next shift, like, hey, just to clarify,
yeah,
I'm not in the wrong here, am I? Because that's the last thing I want to do. But when
if I am in the wrong, please tell me.
When I'm watching all of the, you know, because it's closing time, and I'm watching all of the sides be tossed away.
Yeah.
Now what? Like, I obviously can't give you mashed potatoes because I just watched them go in the trash. You know, so like.
And we prep those, like, per shift. Like, it's not one of those things where, you know, we have a huge backup in the back that we can just throw on a plate.
Right. So it's like, I don't know, it threw me for a loop because I was like, I thought I was educating him on how to handle, like, to like, properly navigate that situation in the future. Because he's just making weird choices left and right, I guess. But I was a little baffled that he had not spoken to his table about the kitchen closing prior to closing.
Yeah, or talk to the kitchen about the fact that he had a table who hadn't put in food
like
yet.
you're losing
on multiple fronts.
Yeah, several fronts here. So I don't know. It was just like I said, it was just something at the very end of my shift tonight that I went, oh well, let's find out.
Yeah, interesting.
How that should go.
Well,
but that's pretty much it. That was just the wild world of guests that we live in. So thanks for listening.
You ready to check out?
I am ready to check out. Let's go home.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Rolling Silverware Podcast. If you are enjoying the post-shift shit talk, please feel free to rate it. Tune back in next week for our shift shenanigans.